Hey, welcome back to AIDol. So in the last episode, we found out who's really behind Aiko's malfunctions and who is deliberately corrupting her files. Kazuki. Now I don't know exactly what his whole motive is, but I have a feeling it may have something to do with Rei wanting to be an idol. Let's find out. It really worked? That's right, Rei. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you very much, but I couldn't have done it on my own. Your dad deserves some praise too. Rei giggled. Kazuki really saw Rei smile this much, certainly not on her own, and it warmed his heart. It made the meat and potato stew Itsuki had prepared for dinner even more delicious. You two really worked hard. Good job, Dad. Well, you know. Kazuki shrugged modestly. Job is a job. I need to work so you can eat. Rei poked the white rice in a roll with the tip of her chopsticks. Being an adult sounds hard. It is. It's not all that bad. I mean, I essentially get paid to play with dolls all day. Well, very expensive dolls, which could bankrupt our company if not utilized correctly. Ichiro laughed and carelessly waved his chopsticks with one hand. Details, details. That's right, dear. Don't be so down on yourself. You did something incredible today. You should celebrate. Is it really incredible? Kazuki frowned. What's his deal? Solar eclipses, shooting stars, and meteorites hurling from space were incredible. These natural phenomena that humans could not control, only observe, filled Kazuki with more awe than this silly little project. Why don't you work on that then? Playing God for the sake of CD sales. It all seemed so tawdry. Then again, Itsuki always said he was too serious. There was more to life than the stars in the sky. They were up there, and he was down here. And while humans still lived on planet Earth and Mars was yet to be colonized, he might as well make the best of it. Kazuki had always been fond of space. In his youth, he'd had dreams of becoming an astronomer. Lyric isn't the first company to create a virtual idol. The market in Tokyo is jam-packed. Every other prefecture seems to have an idol of their own. That wasn't an exaggeration either. Just the other day, Kazuki had seen a virtual idol used to advertise a new brand of glass noodles on television. The virtual idol market wasn't new. It had been around for a good 5 years already, and there are numerous popular and not so popular virtual idols who consistently made it into the Oricon charts. Most of these idols had been developed in Tokyo. Lyric had started to invest in virtual idol technology a little too late. But Yujiro remained unfailingly positive as always. We might not be the first, but no other company has perfected the art like we have. You're awfully confident. I have every right to be confident. We've made leaps and bounds, Kazuki. We'll revolutionize the world. I'm glad my husband works with you, Yujiro. Itsuki laughed, holding one hand against her cheek. He's always been such a hard worker, but he lacks ambition. His head is in the clouds, or in the stars. Or stars, as it were. How did I know she was going to say that? He needs somebody to yank him back to Earth. I'm not a child, Itsuki. You act like it sometimes, dear. You're so surly. I don't think anybody gets to stay surly if exposed to Aiko for too long. She's like... Yujiro just gesticulated for effect. No words came to him. Words were lost. Her large round eyes. Her soft sweet smile. Her gentle polite style of speech. She was going to be a star. Even Rei seemed to realize there was something special about Aiko. Yujiro had been to the Mura household for dinner several times since the beginning of the Heart Song project, and I talked to Rei earnestly about Aiko's creation. He knew that he wasn't supposed to. It was, after all, top secret, but Rei was Kazuki's daughter, and she had been sworn to secrecy. Yuichiro trusted her. She was such a funny, serious little thing. Yuichiro couldn't imagine her going back on a promise. Huh. Aiko sounds amazing. I wish I could see her someday. I wish you could see her too. She's a real work of art, but even you can't see her. You should, but even if you can't see her, you should be able to hear her. I can? That's right. We didn't make her so we could keep her locked away in the lyric labs and stare at her. She's supposed to be an idol. Idols exist to sing. She's going to use her voice to bring hope to others. That sounds incredible. Don't let yourself get taken in, Ray. He's getting carried away. But I can't help myself. Aiko's gonna be something special, I know it. Do you mean it? I mean it, I promise. How sweet. Yuichiro was right, too. Aiko's popularity skyrocketed within weeks of releasing her first single. Contrary to Kazuki's pessimism, Aiko was not relegated to the sale of glass noodles like some of her other less fortunate contemporaries. Aiko was not perfect, as Kazuki already knew, but that made the general public fawn over her all the more. Aiko, with her funny, antiquated way of speech, her slightly awkward manner of composing herself, and the way her cheeks flushed whenever she was asked a difficult question during an interview, was unimaginably endearing. The other virtual idols, manufactured by larger companies in Tokyo, might have been prettier and more professional than Aiko, but there was something coldly precise about them. Like instruments in a hospital, they were more than sufficient at doing their job, but their job was all they could do. They hadn't been created for any other purpose, or any purpose other than singing, dancing, and looking attractive. They had no real personality. They weren't people. They were machines. Perfect, yes, but lacking in heart. Aiko, meanwhile, seemed to ooze natural charm, like any other regular girl. But Aiko was not a regular girl. She might have managed to fool the nation, but she couldn't fool Kazuki. Kazuki had been there during the process of her creation, and he knew better than anyone that the much-beloved Aiko was nothing more than a doll. She had what appeared to be a personality, thanks to Yuichiro's clever fingers and diligent work, but it was all a lie. I don't know. An elaborate sham. At least that was what Kazuki told himself. But as time wore on, it grew harder and harder to convince him, even himself. It was impossible not to love Aiko. Yeah, she seems to have a personality on her own. She seems like an AI with a bit more free will than the other virtual idols. Hey, Ray. Did you have a good day? Ray always responded like that, but she really smiled. Not properly. Her smiles failed to light up in her eyes. What were you studying? Anything interesting? The classics? Mom talked to me a bit about the tale of Genji. I remember studying that in school. Do you like it? It was rather dramatic. It would probably make a good TV series. Speaking of which, Ray was curled up on the couch, a cushion in her lap. There was a half-eaten orange sitting on the table, its skin neatly peeled away. Eat your fruits. Every once in a while, Ray would reach forward and pop a segment of orange into her mouth. The TV was turned on, buzzing away in the background. What are you listening to? It's a show about idols. They were doing a feature on Aiko. Aiko, Kazuki frowned. One would have thought Aiko's immense popularity would have made him happier, but it didn't. Though Lyric had given Kazuki a generous raise, and his quality of life had improved, it didn't seem to make much of a difference. It wasn't enough to help Ray. His little girl still couldn't see. Her eyes were useless, and that would never change. There were operations, but they were too costly and the risk was too high. Kazuki and Itsuki had talked about it at length, but it was too improbable. Nothing more than a dream. Like the title of the Aiko track playing on the TV program, just a dream. You like Aiko a lot, don't you, Ray? I love her. Ray answered without hesitation. Her voice is so melodic. Listening to her always makes me happy. Well, thanks very much. Our team tried hard. I know, but I think Aiko tries hard too. She seems very earnest. She's just a robot, Ray. She acts that way because she's programmed to. I would know. What a killjoy. Ray frowned. Her eyebrows furrowed. I think there's more to Aiko than that. I listened to a lot of her interviews. She sounds like an ordinary girl. She sounds like me. Ray reached for another piece of orange. Here, let me help you. Kazuki, always eager to aid his daughter, took a segment of orange for Ray and placed it into her palm. Thank you. That was what Ray said, but she didn't sound very thankful. She sighed. I guess Aiko isn't much like me after all. Well, no, she's a robot. You're a person. I don't mean it like that. She seems so nice and normal, but I'm weird. Don't be silly, Ray. There's nothing weird about you. Then why can't I go to school? Why do I have to stay at home all day? Ray didn't raise her voice. It was soft as always, and did not sound particularly accusatory. But that only hurt more. Kazuki winced. You know why, Ray. Because I'm blind. The local schools don't have the resources to accommodate you. Your mother and I did check, Ray. I promise we checked, but we just wouldn't feel comfortable sending you there. Is there homeschooling in Japan? No. So you prefer me to stay at home without any friends? Ray sighed. She looked at her lap with her sightless eyes, her fingers resting limply against her knees. I'm not trying to blame you. I know you're doing this for my sake, and I appreciate it, but what's going to happen when I get older? You're not going to be here forever, and my condition won't go away. I need to learn how to look after myself. Wow, damn. Look, Ray. I just got home from work and I'm tired. I don't know if this is the best time for this conversation. It never is. Ray reached forward to take another segment of orange. Here, let me... It's alright, Dad. I can do it myself. Ray brushed Kazuki's fingers to one side and plucked a segment of orange from the main body of the fruit with her fingers. She popped the piece of fruit into her mouth and chewed for a few moments. When she swallowed, her expression was set. It looked like she'd come to some kind of conclusion. I was just thinking, it's alright if I can't ever go to school, and I don't mind not talking to girls my age. I've spent most of my life at home, and I probably wouldn't know what to talk about. I don't know anything about boys or hair or makeup, and I don't keep up with TV dramas or do any sports. The only thing I really like is idols. So I was thinking, if I can't go to school, then I want to become an idol. An idol? Our little girl? That's right. She was quite insistent. I've never seen her ask for something so passionately before. Well, I'm very glad you found something she cares about. But being an idol... Itsuki sat at the kitchen table, her head pressed in her hands. It looked like she was trying to ward off a headache. She can't even go to school, Kazuki. How on earth can she perform to thousands and thousands of people on a stage? I also said that, but Ray didn't listen. She usually listens. I know, I was surprised too, but like I said, she wasn't acting like the usual Ray. Kazuki frowned and ran a hand through his hair. The Ray who had spoken to earlier had almost been like a different girl. Her eyes, framed by long lashes, had been narrowed, and her little fingers even clenched into fists. Her eyes swam with determination. I know you'll probably say no, and I can understand why, but I've never wanted anything more in my life. I want to share my voice with other people. I want to give them hope. I just want my life to mean something. I just don't want to spend my whole life locked up inside this house. When Ray spoke like that, how could Kazuki have refused? His tongue had frozen in his mouth, his lips pursed in shocked silence. Try though he might, no sound came out. He couldn't think of a thing to say. Even now, some 3 hours later, with Ray up in her bedroom listening to music, he still didn't know what to say. I think it might be good for her, Itsuki. What do you mean? How could this be good for her? She'll be in danger, Kazuki. Not everything in this world seeks to harm our daughter, you know. I know, but she's not well enough. Being an idol is too much pressure. Being an idol would be stressful for any girl, no matter their condition. She might be blind, but Ray doesn't let her hold that back. The only ones holding her back are us. Kazuki, I'm only suggesting this to you, Itsuki, because I think it will be good for her. I was giving it some thought, and she is right. She can't stay at home forever. We can't coddle her, and she doesn't want to be coddled either. Well, maybe I am too protective, but can you blame me? Of course I don't blame you. Ray doesn't blame you either. Aiko was so successful, Lyric's budget for recruiting other idols has increased. They'll be starting auditions soon. Maybe we could send an application form in for Ray. We could, but oh, Kazuki, it's so sudden. Letting go of our children is never easy, but most parents have to deal with this far sooner than we have. Ray's been in our sights this whole time. We should let her spread her wings. When you put it like that, I feel like it would be cruel to deny her the chance, but are you really doing this for Ray's sake? I wonder. Kazuki pondered, one hand beneath his chin. I do want to make our daughter happy, but I can't deny I have a bit of a stubborn streak too. What do you mean, dear? I mean, I know that our little girl is more talented than Aiko. After all, Aiko's just a robot. I want Ray to become the most popular idol there is. She deserves it. I think there's a very, very interesting contrast between Ray and Hana. Because Ray, she isn't allowed to go anywhere, but she wants to make friends and be a normal girl. On the other hand, Hana also wants to be a normal girl, and is pretty much given every opportunity to do so. But the only thing holding her back is herself and her anxiety. I don't know, I thought that was interesting. Himura Ray, was it? Lyric's president pondered, glancing at Kazuki from behind the lenses of his glasses. Kazuki shivered. Lyric's president was an imposing man, despite being on the wrong side of 50. His each and every word made Kazuki feel like shards of ice were being inserted beneath his skin. Still, he had to try and maintain his composure. He hadn't done anything wrong. There was no rule that said children of Lyric employees couldn't become idols, and Ray had blown everybody away during her audition. She had even shocked Kazuki, and he was her own father. She was small and slight, but Ray had quite the set of lungs on her. Kazuki had felt particularly proud when he'd seen Kitamura Ryuichi, that obnoxious playboy who'd never learned how to grow up, get misty-eyed. Ray was good, there was no doubt about it. Better than good, in fact. She was out of this world. It seems Mr. Kitamura over in the PR department was quite taken by her performance. He couldn't recommend her highly enough. Thank you. I'm very grateful. It is quite curious that out of the 28 girls who auditioned, Miss Amura was the most highly praised, despite the fact that she had never received any formal vocal training. I wonder... The president's eyes flashed. I hope no underhanded dealings were afoot. Of course not, sir. I would never... Shush. Whoa. The president held one hand in the air, signaling for silence. I know, Himura. You don't need to sound so defensive. You've been a model employee during your time at Lyric, and you serve as a fine example to us all. I didn't expect your own daughter to apply for a position as an idol within our company, but stranger things have happened. However, there are one or two points of concern. Your daughter is blind, is she not? Right, that's right. If she truly wishes to be an idol, This would be quite the handicap. It would make performing difficult. But not impossible. Not impossible, no. Not if she's willing to work hard. I can assure you, sir, my daughter is a very hard-working girl. She won't let you down. Well, you would say that. Rei is your daughter. I fear you might be biased. You can ask Ryuichi for his opinion. He had nothing but praise for her. I don't particularly respect Kitamura's opinion, but it is rare for him to sound so earnest. Tell you what, let us make a deal. A deal? That's right. I'll agree to sign your Rei up to Lyric. On one condition. Why is this dude so shady? Following her debut, Rei will have 1 year to try and amass a following. If she is unable to shift a significant amount of CDs during her career, she'll be considered a liability and taken off the record. Oh. Okay. So that's why Kazuki is trying to sabotage Aiko, because Aiko's probably outselling Rei. Kazuki breathed in slowly, then out again. That condition wasn't too bad. It was more or less similar to the waivers other beginner idols had to sign. If an idol couldn't make enough sales, the company would cease to support them. That was business 101. Right, I understand, sir. But the president held up his hand once more. He hadn't finished yet. If, during this year, her sales figure managed to surpass those of her most popular performer, that is to say Aiko, then we at Lyric will offer you a reward. Let's call it a form of compensation for your many years of hard work. And what's that? The president's smile grew wider still. The company will pay for her to have her eyesight corrected. Free of charge, of course. Kazuki stared. He didn't know what he had expected, but he hadn't expected that. Would it still be risky, though? He had looked into eye surgery with Itsuki, but the prices were exorbitant. Technology had progressed in leaps and bounds over the last decade, but restoring sight to somebody who had been born without the ability to see was a tricky science. Only truly wealthy people could afford such surgery, so why... Are you being serious? Of course I'm being serious, Amur. We're talking about your only daughter's welfare. I wouldn't make light of this. If your daughter surpasses Aiko's level of popularity within a year, she'll be able to regain her eyesight. What do you think about that? Jeez. I think I don't like this guy. This president dude. Alright. So you see, that was why I did it. Kazuki sighs and presses his fingers against his temples. It looks like he has a headache. He reclines on a chair in his office, staring at us from behind his desk. Though his office is undoubtedly fancy, furnished with an expensive rug and numerous potted plants, it still looks lonely. Barren. Empty. The handful of photographs displayed on his desk do little to alleviate the gloom. Instead, they make it worse. In every single one of those photographs is a face I know well. It's a face that's been on TV numerous times during the last 6 months, and a face I myself saw in person during the handshake event at the AIDol Fest. Himura Rei. A 3-year-old Rei in a white summer dress holding a slice of watermelon. Wait. So, the president gave him that deal. Does that mean... Wouldn't that mean he knew Kazuki would do whatever it takes to have Rei surpass Aiko in sales? I don't know, this president dude is running a pretty bad business here if he's doing that. A 3-year-old Rei in a white summer dress holding a slice of watermelon. An 8-year-old Rei at a festival wearing a showy yukata with her hair pinned up. An 11-year-old Rei standing next to a pretty lady, presumably her mother, by Odawara Castle. A 14-year-old Rei, wearing the costume she wore at her debut concert, white taffeta with fairy wings. This office is almost like a shrine to Amuro Rei, the quiet, mild-mannered idol who managed to capture the hearts of all people across Japan with her tragic backstory. Rei is popular, nobody would dispute that. But she isn't as popular as Aiko. Nobody's as popular as Aiko. I know what I did was terrible, especially to you, Yuichiro. I knew how much you cared about Aiko, but still... You tampered with her files. You ruined this guy's career. That's right. You're the reason her data has been deteriorating. It's true. And you... Yuichiro's chest rises and falls with ill-suppressed emotion. You're the one who framed me. Kazuki bows his head. He doesn't even try to fight back. Somehow, this makes him seem even more pathetic. Numerous images of Rei stare at him, their sightless eyes judging. Poor Rei. Yuichiro shakes his head. He looks despondent. She was always such a good girl, and she really did love Aiko. I think she loved Aiko even more than I did. I know that. I know how much she loves her. She was devastated when she heard the news this morning. But what else could I do? It was for her sake. Was it, though? What do you mean? You didn't need to tamper with Aiko's files, Kazuki. You should have had faith in your daughter. Yuichiro slams the palm of his hand against Kazuki's desk. The numerous photographs of Rei jump. You are always the one talking about how real idols, flesh and blood humans, were superior to robots. If you truly believe that, you should have believed in Rei. You should have believed she was to pass Aiko through her own merits, not your underhanded meddling. I know that. Don't you think I didn't know that? Then why did you do it? Because I knew she wouldn't make it. It's not a matter of who's better. I think Rei's voice is far superior to Aiko's, and I still believe that even if she was my daughter. Rei can't be compared, she's incredible, but just because I think Rei's better, it doesn't mean everyone else will. Surpass Aiko? How could she? Aiko's one of the most popular idols in Japan. For Rei's sake, for her to regain her eyesight, this was the only way. I didn't want to hurt you, Yuichiro. I didn't want to damage your reputation. I didn't want to ruin your career. I didn't want to hurt Aiko. I know better than anyone just how hard you worked on her. That's right, Aiko, my beloved child. Yuichiro glances at the photographs of Rei displayed around Kazuki's office. The photographs are lined up together in ascending order, from their youngest Rei to the oldest, almost like Russian Matryoshka dolls. A whole constellation of Amuro Reis. I've never had a family. I've never had children, but though it might sound foolish, Aiko really is like a daughter to me. I love her. I know you love her, but try to understand how you feel about Aiko. It's the same way I feel about Rei. Rei is my precious daughter. She's my only daughter. Itsuki and I, we love her more than anything. She's dear to us, and she's been suffering this whole time. I want to help ease her pain. I want her to be able to see, and this is the only way. This is all I could do. This whole time, I was trying to be a good father. Mr. Hamura? So it wasn't just my imagination. There, in the corner of Hamura's eyes, I can see something unmistakable. Tears. He's crying. Kazuki. Yuichiro frowns. He massages his temple with one hand. Is he trying to stave off a headache? I appreciated that you did all this for your daughter, and I know how much you love her, but is this what Rei would have wanted? What? Kazuki sniffs. He removes his glasses and wipes his eyes with the back of his hand. I've never seen a grown man cry before. It's a strange experience. Actually, that isn't true. Dad's quite free with his emotions, and he always dissolves into tears when we watch Tokyo Story together. It's one of Dad's favorite movies, but it makes him bawl like a baby. But I know my dad. I've lived with him my whole life. He's family. Imura Kazuki, however, is not. He's a complete stranger. That makes everything feel slightly surreal. I might as well be an uninvited guest at a family funeral. What do you mean, Yurichiro? Of course Rei wants to be able to see. Why wouldn't she? You might think it goes without saying, but that's only from your perspective. Kazuki's brow furrows. Wouldn't everybody say the same? Perhaps, but Rei isn't everybody, or everyone. She's your daughter. Did you tell Rei about this? Does she know what's happening behind the scenes? Kazuki shifts. He looks uncomfortable. I told her the basic details. I said if she sold enough CDs, Lyric could use her earnings to help pay for her eye surgery. And was she happy about that? Of course she was happy. Why wouldn't she be happy? Are you sure? Think about it, Kazuki. Are you really, really sure? Well, she didn't look that enthused, but Rei's really enthused about anything. She didn't object to it. Let me guess. She nodded her head and said, Actually, she nodded her head and said, okay. That's just a matter of semantics. Rei wasn't as excited by this prospect as you had hoped, was she? Not entirely, but that's just how she is. She's humble and polite. She doesn't ask when she wants things, and she accepts everything Itsuki and I say. She's a good, obedient girl. Except when she wanted to be an idol, right? Yes, she was unusually insistent about that. Then I think the truth is plain, even if you remain blind to it. What truth? Rei has been blind ever since she was born. She's had ample time to get used to her condition, but you and Itsuki still can't accept it. It's understandable, of course. You love your daughter and you don't want her to be a disadvantaged. I love Rei too. She's a very sweet girl, and it's sad she was born without her eyesight, but that's part of who Rei is. She's accustomed to it. Not being able to see doesn't make her any less of a healthy, happy human being. I never once suggested that. I don't think Rei is inferior because she's blind, but I think being able to see would make her life a lot easier. I don't deny it would make her life easier. That may be so. But Rei is stronger than you think. She was able to become an idol despite her condition, wasn't she? That's true. She has quite a stubborn streak. I wonder who she inherits it from. Come now, Itsuki is far, far more stubborn than I am. But you are the one who refused to warm to Aiko, though you worked on her for almost 2 years. Kazuki pulls a face. He looks like he's just bitten into a lemon. You still don't like Aiko, do you? That's why you were able to cause her so much pain. I hardly cause her pain, she's just a doll. That isn't true. Hana? Huh. She really is a little spitfire. I like her fighting spirit. Just don't make any advances on her, Ryuichi. I'm watching you. Yes, ma'am. Everybody's looking at me. They're staring. What should I do? I flush, my cheeks turning pink, and drop my gaze to the floor. This always happens when I start speaking my mind. I get unusually fired up, and then I say all sorts of ridiculous things without thinking, and everybody looks at me like some sort of alien invader. Well, they're already looking. I'm only a teenage girl, but I managed to get their attention. Everybody here is older than me, and maybe I don't know very much about the inner workings of Lyric, and I certainly don't know anything about Kazuki or Rei. But I do know a lot about Aiko. That's a subject I'm very familiar with. Aiko isn't a doll. You'd say that to a person who programmed her? That's right. Aiko might be a robot, but she's much, much more than that. And what do you know about Aiko, young girl? She's important to me. Her songs have touched my heart. I used to be really shy and retiring. I still am. I get good grades, but I don't have any real dreams of the future. I don't know what I want to do. But Aiko grounds me. She's not the flashiest idol out there, but she's comforting, like, white rice, I guess. You'd compare Lyric's top idol to a bowl of rice? Well, I suppose she has a point. I'm not very good at similes. But what I was trying to say is, Aiko, she's really important. She might be a robot, but she acts like an ordinary girl. She gets tongue-tied in her interviews, and sometimes she gets her dance steps wrong, and she even messes up her words on stage. But that makes her special. She's not perfect, but that makes her human. She might be a robot, but she's not just a doll. She's much, much more than that. She inspires people. Isn't that why Ray likes her so much? Kazuki blinks. His eyes are wide. Did I manage to score a critical hit? Using his daughter as a bargaining chip feels a little cheap, but I did meet Ray at that handshake session, and I remember how excited she was. It even says on Ray's profile on the Lyric website, it's listed beneath a section about her favorite things. Aiko's #1. Ray loves Aiko, right? Aiko's the reason Ray decided to become an idol in the first place. Mr. Hamura, if your daughter knew you were the one who had caused Aiko such problems, how do you think she would feel? I can't pretend I understand the situation, but I wouldn't be surprised if it broke her heart, just like it's breaking mine. Well, I think Hana may have gotten through this to this guy. I love how Hana is such an Aiko stan that she friggin' stand her way into the Lyric headquarters. But yeah, in the next episode, we're gonna find out what happens to Aiko and what that means for Ray. For Ray, disability is kind of a hard topic. I mean, she was born that way, and she's pretty much accepted it. It's become, being blind has become who she is. I wonder how it makes her feel when they say they can fix her. I mean, yeah, it would make life a lot easier for her, but she's kind of adapted it, accepted it, and I guess at this point, it wouldn't really matter to her if she could see or not. But yeah, in the next episode, we'll find out how this all pans out. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.